for Demidov. Demidov has it. Demidov circles in front. Scores! Back of 93. Goes after it now. He's in. He scores! Oh my! Demidov!
19 years old. Let that land. Just months ago, in early March, Ivan Demidov crossed the Atlantic and stepped into the Bell Center for his first NHL game, and 21,000 Montreal fans roared as if the cup were at stake. Rookie jitters? None. Toe drags in traffic, seamless zone entries, a goal and an assist. Each touch foreshadowed something bigger. Analysts lean on the easy comparison to Nikita Kucherov, but reputable voices inside the league whisper that Demidov's upper limit could stretch even higher, reshaping how defenders must think about spacing for the next decade. Therefore, in the next few minutes, we'll track his rise from Arctic wind rinks to playoff pressure cookers, dissect the mechanics that power his deception, project his immediate impact on Montreal's standings, and explain why the Canadiens' rebuild may be hurtling toward its finish line faster than anyone imagined. Demidov's story begins in Arkhangelsk, a northern port city where winter clamps down for half the calendar and the rink heaters sputter more often than the Zamboni. His father, a cargo ship captain, hammered plywood boards against a concrete wall behind their Khrushchevka so Ivan could shoot pucks long after the local youth program locked its doors. That improvised range forced creativity, no coach counting edge reps, no systems to confine instinct, but the turning point arrived at the 2019 European Youth Olympic Festival when Demidov tied a semifinal with 34 seconds left and produced an overtime assist that crashed Russian hockey Twitter. SKA St. Petersburg whisked him south the moment the buzzer sounded, convinced they had found a generational winger. 4 winters later, he erupted for 55 points in 58 KHL games, surpassing Kirill Kaprizov's teenage scoring record and tempting Montreal GM Kent Hughes to invest his top pick in a Russian at a moment when geopolitical tension made that gamble anything but simple. Therefore, Demidov's path to Quebec was already the stuff of risk-taking legend long before he laced NHL skates. Opening night against Chicago came and went in March, not October, a wrinkle that amplified the pressure because Montreal was clawing for a wildcard berth. Martin St. Louis sheltered Demidov with offensive zone starts, but within 7 minutes the kid slithered behind the net, baited Kevin Korchinski, and feathered a pass Alex Newhook tapped home. 2 shifts later, he collected a Matheson stretch feed, sold a slap shot that froze Arvid Soderblom, yanked the puck to his backhand at the last millisecond, and tucked it inside the post. By night's end, he led Montreal in expected goals, commanded every cheer, and looked as though the smaller North American ice were a playground he'd memorized in a single morning skate. Therefore, the age-old KHL numbers don't translate. Talking Point lost steam before the game clocks even flipped to the second period. Demidov's magic starts with hands that treat the puck like it's tethered by silk string, but it's amplified by edge work that lets him toggle from inside to outside blades without glide, forcing defenders to commit milliseconds before he shifts direction. He couples that footwork with shoulder feints that mislead tracking eyes, therefore manufacturing yards of space where none existed. His wrist shot release stays unreadable until the puck is gone, his hip rotation disguises intent until goalies are flat-footed, and his head-up approach means the next pass can arrive a breath sooner than line mates anticipate. Playmakers often need time to calculate. Shooters need room to load. Danglers risk turnovers at the blue line. Demidov blurs those archetypes into a single package that processes options at warp speed and disguises them until it's too late to react. Player projections are educated guesses, but Demidov already blends Kaprizov's fearless slot drives with Kucherov's half-wall orchestration, adding a touch of Matt Barzal's lateral glide and Jack Hughes' twitchy bursts. If his perimeter shot matures, and skills coach Adam Nicholas is hammering that every practice, then a 110-point season in his prime feels realistic, not fanciful. That threshold would stack him beside the league's most powerful offensive engines, therefore inviting discussions about defensive systems recalibrating the way they did when Connor McDavid's speed rewired neutral zone coverage. Montreal finished last year 22nd in 5-on-5 scoring, bleeding 1-goal games they couldn't close. Demidov's translated even strength production, roughly 2 points per 60 minutes, projects to add a quarter goal per game if he skates 16 minutes nightly. The power play scuffled at 18%, but Demidov's twin threats of instant wrister and cross ice dart force penalty killers into stalemate positions, nudging the unit toward the league average 22% mark. Those marginal gains translate to about 5 wins across 82 games, therefore vaulting the Canadiens from 89 points into the low 90s, a threshold that frequently draws a wild card in the parity-soaked Eastern Conference. Demidov's KHL dominance came from slashing into the slot and releasing shots 8 feet from the crease, but NHL defenders packed the middle with heavier sticks and faster recoveries. He countered in March by curling wide and ripping far-side wristers. He'll now spend the summer extending that outside arsenal so defenders can't shade inside without consequence. His back check intensity flickers when shifts drag past 40 seconds, therefore St. Louis will emphasize 3 hard strides the moment possession flips, using video sessions to link punctual defensive posture with license to freewheel offensively. If Demidov internalizes that cause and effect, his ice time ceiling climbs toward 20 minutes and any lingering Calder doubt evaporates. Lane Hutson already quarterbacked exits with Sergei Zubov's cool poise, but the recent trade that landed Noah Dobson brought a right-shot artillery piece who can thread 60-foot darts flat on Demidov's blade. Now, instead of chipping pucks out, Montreal can pivot from retrieval to breakaway in 2 passes. Dobson to Demidov flying through the neutral zone, Demidov to Nick Suzuki late slashing between circles, confusion behind the opposition net before the scoreboard graphic even updates. Therefore, the Canadiens shift from reactionary hockey to dictating pace, and free agents surveying tax rates suddenly weigh the benefit of joining a roster with an emerging 2-headed monster of Dobson bombs and Demidov daggers. Kucherov's breakout hinged on learning to attack off the pass rather than demanding puck possession. Patrick Kane's rookie fireworks came with some of the league's worst defensive metrics. Barzal's glide can dazzle, yet float outside high-danger areas. Demidov borrows from each template, but adds relentless slot drives that none prioritized at 19, therefore positioning himself to outpace those comparables in goal totals, so long as he shores up the non-glamorous retrieval chores that keep coaches trusting him when the stakes peak. If Demidov's incremental offense converts Montreal's narrow defeats into springtime victories, they could clamp the second wildcard and stare down Carolina's suffocating structure. Rod Brind'Amour excels at neutralizing predictable stars, but Demidov's misdirection complicates the matchup puzzle and might swipe a road win that swings series momentum. Should Montreal miss by a whisker, Demidov's projected 70-plus points still hand him the Calder and give management a marketing spearhead to woo a veteran finisher this summer, therefore crystallizing a 2026 window when Hutson, Dobson, and Demidov mature in unison. Dynasties can go hungry. Montreal's 32-year cup drought makes that plain. Demidov arrives with skills tuned to highlight reels and a mind calibrated to analytics. But beyond the gifs and graphs, he carries the symbolic weight of reviving an original six giant that hasn't celebrated in June since dial-up modems whined. He can inspire Quebec's next generation of pond dreamers, lure elite free agents who long ignored provincial taxes, and nudge Russian prodigies who once avoided NHL uncertainty to chase his blueprint instead. Therefore, watch the next fake slap shot that buckles a goalie, the next look-off pass that frees Suzuki, the next nonchalant shrug at a microphone when reporters gasp at his composure. Each moment stitches together a tapestry that could eclipse even Kucherov's brightest seasons and redraw the Atlantic Division hierarchy in real time. Buckle up and subscribe. The Ivan Demidov era is gathering speed.